Got dreams of being a professional podcaster, but have no idea what you're doing?
This is impossible.
That's about to change.
A new kind of school.
Welcome to the Pod School Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. Now, sometimes when you are in the editing process of your podcast, you might realise that there are some things that you said at the time that need to be re-recorded. Maybe you took too long to say something and you would like to cut it down from 45 seconds to 2.5. If you are not careful, those edits and those re-records that you do will sound quite obvious. So I just wanted to give you some tips on the things that you can do if you ever need to re-record anything and insert it into your show to make it sound like it was always there in the first place. The first tip revolves around something I spoke about in last week's episode, which is the idea of recording ambient noise. If you are recording in different places, different rooms, different venues, different spaces, outdoors, indoors, every space you record in will sound really different. So if you are recording somewhere that isn't where you'll be editing and you need to re-record something, you'll be re-recording it in a different place to where the original episode was recorded, and that's going to sound different. So if you've actually gone and gotten that 20 to 45 seconds of ambient sound, which is just recording the sound around you without any speaking, you just sit there with your mouth zipped and let the tape roll so you can record what was going on around you. Then if you need to re-record something and you're back home and you're in your home office and it sounds very different, you can record something into a microphone but then lay that ambient noise underneath that recording so that it sounds like you were in the place where you originally recorded it. It needs some tweaking sometimes, some lifting or decreasing of certain volumes, but by doing that you'll be able to cover up an edit, whereas if you didn't have that, it would sound very, very obvious because the two rooms or the two spaces would make it sound very jarring, and you definitely don't want that. Another tip is if you have more than one microphone open or on when you are doing your episode, so for example if you've got a co-host or you've got an interview guest there, when you re-record the audio that you're going to slot in, open both microphones. The difference will be super subtle, but it will be a difference. You want everything to sound as close to exactly the same as when you originally recorded it as possible, and actually opening that second microphone takes in a bit more of the room noise and will make it sound different. Sometimes when you record just with one microphone open but you're in an interview, it almost sounds like you throw in a bit of a voiceover. It sounds a bit more, I guess the word is enclosed, but if you have a second microphone open, you're getting some of that residual noise from your voice. It just sounds more exact to what you originally recorded. So it's a bit of a pro tip, but it can really make a very subtle but important difference. The last thing I'm going to suggest is that you don't record something what's called cold. Basically, that means if I need to record the line, how to make your editing easier, I'm never going to sit down at the microphone and go from silence to how to make your editing easier. I'm always going to say the first couple of words or the sentence that I said before that sentence that I'm replacing so that I naturally run on in the normal conversational style that I would. And then when I edit that in, it fits in much easier. It's not so harsh. If I just come in cold, sit down at the microphone and say how to make your editing easier, it will always sound more harsh and less natural than if I just roll on from the previous sentence. So basically you want to listen back to the piece of audio that you are trying to replace, and you want to say as much of the lead up to what you're actually going to edit in as possible, just so you can get the natural rhythm of that conversation, and it'll make the edit sound a lot smoother. I hope that that has helped you think about some of the ways that you can cover up those cheeky, sneaky edits so that nobody knows you're not a one-take wonder. Head to podschoolpodcast.com where I've got show notes for this and all the other episodes, as well as a link to my podcasting tech guide website and my online podcasting course that can help you create your own show from scratch. If you're enjoying the episodes and you're finding them useful, please tell a friend who is interested in podcasting, or head into iTunes and leave a review and tell me what you're thinking of the show. If you've got any questions, you can always leave that in the review, or just head to the website and send me an email. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next week, and until then, happy podcasting.
That's all for today.